Welcome to Connected Through Change. Men supporting menopause, two voices, one journey. Your host is Russell Betts, author of the international best-selling book, The Good Husband's Guide to Menopause, and founder of the Connected Through Change movement. Each week, you'll hear both the men's and women's perspectives, so you can understand what's really happening beneath the surface and learn how to stay steady, supportive, and connected through one of life's biggest transitions. If you want clarity, confidence, and a stronger relationship during menopause and beyond, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
You know that feeling when you are in a high-stakes meeting, or maybe you're navigating a complex crisis at work, or you're the person everyone calls when things fall apart because you have the words. You can negotiate, you can clarify, you can take a mess of data and turn it into a clear, actionable strategy. You are articulate, you are self-aware. By every metric the world uses, you are a master communicator. And then you walk into your living room. You stand in the kitchen, 3 feet away from your partner, and you try to explain why you feel 1,000 miles away. You reach for the tools you've been told to use. You start with the I feel statements. You try the active listening protocols. You use the scripts you've heard in podcasts or read in books, and they crumble in your hands like wet paper. You find yourself stuttering, or you find yourself getting louder, or, more likely, you just stop. You look at the look on their face, that mix of confusion and defensiveness, and you say, "Never mind, forget it." In that moment, the never mind tax accrues. Another layer of your true self is withdrawn, tucked away in a drawer because the cost of translating it is simply too high. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Last week, we named the ghost in the room, that unnamed experience sitting between you, the one that makes the air feel heavy even when no one is fighting. Today, we have to look at why your attempts to banish that ghost are actually making you more tired. We're talking about the high cost of translation. There is a seductive lie we've all been sold. It's the idea that if you just communicate better, the distance will close. It sounds like good advice. It sounds empowering. But underneath it is a very heavy implication. It suggests that the gap between you is a result of your lack of skill or your partner's lack of effort. It frames the problem as a performance issue. If you just practiced the script more, if you were just a little more vulnerable, if they would just listen a little more actively, the bridge would be built. But what if the problem isn't your skill? What if the problem is that you are trying to build a bridge with the wrong materials? Standard communication skills are designed for negotiation and conflict resolution. They were built for the boardroom, for the legal settlement, for deciding whose turn it is to do the dishes, or how to budget for the summer. They are transactional tools. They are meant to move things from point A to point B. They were not designed for the naming of an evolving soul. If you are in midlife, if you are navigating a massive identity recalibration, if your internal world is shifting in ways you don't fully have a map for, yet you are living inside a cathedral-sized experience, and when you try to use a standard communication script to describe that, transformation, it's like trying to describe a cathedral. The light through the glass, the echoes, the weight of the stone, the smell of the air using only the word building, it won't fit. And because it doesn't fit, you feel like you're failing. Let's look at how this actually plays out on a Tuesday night. You are feeling this tectonic shift inside. You feel a need for something different, something deeper, but you don't have the precise words for it yet. So you reach for the primary color palette you were given. You say, "Lately, I feel lonely." Now, in your head, the word lonely is a placeholder for something vast. It's about the way your soul feels unseen. It's about a hunger for a different kind of presence. But your partner hears the word lonely through the lens of a negotiation. They hear a request for a solution. So they say, okay, I'm sorry, let's do a movie night on Friday, just the two of us. And you agree. You agree because you're exhausted. You agree because you don't want to be difficult. You agree because you think, maybe that's what I meant. But then Friday night comes, you sit on the couch, the movie is playing. You are physically close, and you have never felt more alone in your life. The never mind tax goes up. This is a linguistic mismatch. You are speaking a dialect of deep internal transition that no one else in your life has been taught to understand. When you try to translate that dialect into the standard script, you lose the most important parts of the truth in the process. The most vibrant, vital parts of what you are experiencing are sanded off so they can fit through the narrow door of a calm conversation. And the result? You end up sounding demanding or vague or too much. You begin to believe that you are a bad communicator. You start to think that if a woman as smart as you can't make herself understood, there must be something fundamentally broken in the relationship or in you. But the reality is much simpler and much heavier. You are a master communicator working on an outdated operating system. Your current OS cannot process the complexity of your current life. Think about the sheer physical effort it takes to try and pull a shifting, multidimensional internal reality into a narrow, linear sentence. It's exhausting. It's a strain on your nervous system. Every time you try to use a broken tool to explain yourself, and you watch the misunderstanding land on your partner's face, you add more friction to the field between you. You are shouting across a canyon using a megaphone that has no batteries. Of course your throat hurts. Of course you want to give up. Emphasis. We have to hold the tension of the silence. Right now, in your relationship, clarity is likely being used as a weapon. Maybe you feel like you don't have the right to speak until you are 100% clear, until you can present your feelings with a PowerPoint and a 3-point plan. Or maybe your partner demands a logical explanation for an experience you are currently living that is, quite frankly, pre-logical. When we demand logic from a soul in transition, we aren't asking for understanding. We are asking for the transition to stop being so inconvenient. If you are both trying to talk and the distance is still growing, it's because you are reinforcing the very frameworks that are keeping you apart. You are trying to repair a high-performance engine with a hammer and a roll of duct tape. The harder you work, the more you damage the machine. So, what do? Move. This week, we do nothing. That is the hardest part. This is the week of containment. It's the holding of the breath. We are not looking for relief yet. In this stage, relief is usually just a temporary truce bought with a compromise. It's when you say, yeah, movie night sounds great, just to stop the discomfort of being misunderstood. We are looking for something better than relief. We are looking for the dignifying realization that your inability to explain it isn't a failure of your intellect. It is a limitation of the tools you were handed. You can stop trying to fix the bridge with the wrong materials. You can stand on the bank of the river and finally admit the old way of talking is dead. And it is okay to stop trying to resuscitate it. You don't need to try harder today. You don't need to find a better way to say it. You just need to recognize the weight of the megaphone in your hand and the fact that it hasn't worked in a long time. The house is quiet. The scripts are on the floor. The gap is still there, wide and silent, but for the first time, you aren't blaming yourself for the distance. You're just looking at it. You're just standing there, noticing how much it hurts to try and build something out of primary colors when your world has already turned into 1,000 shades of gray and gold. You put the megaphone down. The silence that follows isn't a failure. It's just the truth.
Thanks for joining us on Connected Through Change. Remember, it takes two voices to walk one journey, and you don't have to navigate this alone. To go deeper, grab Russell's international best-selling book, The Good Husband's Guide to Menopause. Explore the weekly blog or take the Communication Clarity Assessment at connectedthroughchange.com. Stay steady, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next episode.